Hello, welcome back to Coffee Talk with Brandy. Today I have my special guest and my friend from high school, John, who's agreed to come on Coffee Talk with Brandy to kind of share some of his story. He's been through a lot of different changes in the last 6 years, right? It's been about six.
Yeah, 6-7 years.
And yeah, and I think it's so important for us to share our stories, and especially for men to also have other men who've gone through similar things because we all need connection. And so John has graciously accepted my invitation to come. So welcome, John. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, cheers. I've got different mugs this time. And we do have coffee.
Yeah.
I made lattes. Don't forget, so if you ever want to be a guest, I'll make you a latte. Hopefully it's good. I can make cookies too.
Yeah. Oh, remember? Good cookies. Very good cookies.
Yeah, I used to own a cookie store. So
yeah.
Anybody wants to be a guest who lives in, Lane County area, hit me up. Yeah. Cookies, coffee, conversations. Anyway, John and I went to high school together, and several years back, we got reconnected. I was teaching a class that he was attending, him and his wife, and it's been great because John is somebody that I occasionally get to go have coffee with and really chat with, and I really appreciate that. Those connections are so important. Yeah. And about 5 or 6 years ago, John's life changed pretty drastically. And he's had to switch to being a at-home dad, right?
Yes.
So take us to that. Like, you had a back injury. Mm-hmm. Take us through that event. Like, what was life like before for you when you were just working and doing all those things?
Oh, I was on the go nonstop. And then it just kind of slowly started into a little bit of pain down the right leg. And then it just kind of went into farther, more and more pain in the low back. And then had a few bulges where I had to, cortisone shots and all kinds of fun stuff. Yeah, and it went into 2 surgeries after that. And so it's been a role of stay-at-home parent plus dealing with pain. And it's been tough, especially from my point of view for just being a guy and just being a go. And it's been really difficult. And having a kid at home too, that's, quite a handful, and trying to keep up with him. It's been very, very tough.
Yeah.
Trying to cope mentally as a guy, I guess. I don't know if I stereotype that, but
yeah.
Try to focus in more of the kids and more of listening to my body and on that. And it's been a tough road. I'm getting a little bit better with it. I'm listening more and I'm paying attention more to the kids and all that.
Yeah. So. Well, that's good. I know it's hard as a mom as well. I'm a single mom, and being at home, it's difficult, and there's so much to go on. And when you have a kiddo whose brain just works a little bit differently, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just, my child's brain thinks differently, so I've had to learn new and different skills. And our world is really made for the neurotypical, and mm-hmm. and there's so much diversity out there and neurodivergent in the way that our brains think. So it's challenging to be at home with kiddos who push us to think differently, because we, the parenting books per se don't necessarily, like, how do you shift that, and how do we shift it so that our children have the ability to be who they are without us trying to push them into that little box?
Yeah.
And I think I've noticed with my own kiddo, like, that box is no longer exists. They're all outside of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Both of our boys are totally different. In my oldest son, Dylan, he's 24 now. We're gonna be 24 this next week. And he's out on his own, but he was kind of like Noah, where he was more difficult and just harder, and had that oppositional defiant disorder. And so I learned a lot from him, but then when Noah came, it was a totally opposite. He had a lot more anger, a lot more frustration, and so I had to adapt with him and cope with him mentally and physically and all that. And it was a tough road, and it's still a tough road. We're still working on it. It's gotten a lot better. But I think it's because of Lori and I and everybody, the whole team with you, and it just guiding him into that direction of, hey, we can be positive and not be so negative with life. And he's really blossomed out a lot.
Yeah.
It's made me a lot better person too.
Yeah. Well, I want to give you a ton of credit, and your wife as well, because as parents, it takes a lot of work to step back and refocus and give the ability for our kiddos to, number one, express emotions or
Mhm.
anger and all that stuff, and realize too, like, if we're responding in anger, it's just going to keep escalating the situation. So
Yeah.
like, have worked alongside you for a number of years and had great conversations, and I can tell, like, there's a huge difference from where you guys were, when you switched over and understood, like, Noah functions differently. And
Yeah.
so it's like I've seen that amazing growth and the ability to just be with him.
Mhm.
And I think that's so great. And I've also heard you say it's helped you to kind of be in tune with your own self a little bit more.
Yes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had to listen to my body, especially what I've gone through with the pain and the inflammation, and trying to adapt that with him. And it's made my life, I guess, more richer. I guess you could say it expanded my mind a lot more, because like I said, I was on the go, and it was always about work, work, work. And when I got home, we have a few acres, and so it was like, get out there, bust my butt,
Yeah.
do whatever I need to do, work on the house, mow the yard, and it got down to where I had to slow down and almost couldn't do that. And with him, it's like we had to just kind of guide him more and more, and it's been a lot better.
Yeah. Well, and I've heard you say something that's really key, because busy, busy, busy. We oftentimes keep busy, and it can be a survival strategy,
Yeah.
right? We don't want to sit down and think, and thinking can oftentimes bring in a lot more stress.
Oh yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
so, like, what has that been like for you now that you've been able to kind of allow that time to think? Like, what is it like to be able to sit down with your own thoughts? And
I think it's opened me up a lot more. Where I was more, like I said, go, go, go. I don't want to keep using that, but it was where I've opened up my mind and my toolbox, I guess you could say,
yeah.
more. You be able to use more emotion, be able to use more vocal, or talking with Noah, or just actually just sitting there listening to him, and be able to comprehend what he's trying to say, or what Logan's trying to say, or somebody else is trying to say, versus in my own mind, being just closed in. And so I've been able to open up a lot more.
I love that. It gives me such a visual too. Just what you're saying, that it's helped you to open up a lot more. And it really does. Like, if we don't allow ourselves that space to think and kind of process our own lives,
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard as a parent or as a friend to be with people.
Yeah.
Because as you use that word, it opened you up. Like, there's just so much more to see when you've allowed yourself that more space. And I like how you said richer. Now, I may be putting words into your mouth, so tell me. But when I heard richer, for me, what richer means is more connective and deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true for
That's
you?
very true. Yeah.
Yeah. And what is that like to feel more connected to, whether it's your wife or your children or friends?
It's amazing, really, because it expands your mind, I think, a lot more. You're open to more, I guess, less opinionated, and I don't know how you put that, but you kind of just feel things a lot deeper, I guess, instead of just one feeling, or being frustrated. You have a whole gauntlet of emotions that you can pick from, and try to decipher how you want to deal with this situation. And that's what's helped me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been quite the journey, that's for sure, between pain and kids and all that.
Yeah. Well, all of that, what you're saying, is really emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is being able to identify what you're feeling. And, so often in our society, it's hard for many of us to feel emotions because we've been suppressed out of them as children. We have been taught to stop crying. We've been taught to, don't be mad, don't be sad. People kind of like do that, like, don't do that.
Yeah.
And we haven't been allowed to feel those, especially for men, though. I mean, men in general are not allowed to be emotional. So I think it's so important, and I think it's so brave of you to just have this conversation with me, because we need support. We are all humans, and every single one of us have emotions. And so I really like how you said, now that I have all of these emotions, and now I can kind of figure out like what it is, like what is it? Because
Yeah.
sometimes we don't know. And if we don't know how to identify it, it's hard to, how do we react, And when we become deeper in emotional intelligence, we actually stop reacting.
Mm-hmm.
We're able to respond.
Yeah.
Which is super helpful around kiddos.
Yes.
Whose brains think differently too, because they will escalate so much faster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then our emotions go up and our anger goes up, and if you use more of the toolbox per se, then you have a lot better chance of kind of keeping the balance with that child or with that person, I think. And it's expanded my brain big time with that.
Yeah.
It's just fighting with Noah. It's over the years, it was weighed on me hard. But just stopping and listening and just opening up more, and not depending so much on my emotions, but just listening to what they say or what he says and all that.
Yeah. Well, it's so good. Again, it's like being free from that perspective, like, what am I doing wrong? It's like, it's taking it, going, wait a minute, this is not mine at this moment. This is this child. But so often, hopefully I'm making sense with this, but so often when people respond to us out of anger or frustration, we might take that personally. And so often exactly, it's not personally. It's not personal. That's where they're at in their own life. So it's like, how do we come in tune? And that's what I find with my own self, and being able to take things in from other people, especially, been in the dating world for a long time. So it's like not taking rejection personally, but realizing like it's not necessarily there's something wrong with me, or it's not you. It's how we allow people to be present with their own emotions and accept them.
Yeah.
And like, I really like how you said, I'm trying to think back, this is again the COVID brain. Yes. It's hard for me too. John said he was a little nervous. I get a little nervous too when I'm here. And that's just the reality, but I'm pushing through that because I want to make this successful. I want to be able to help people in such a, number one, in a free way, because I think there's so many barriers to getting support and help, but just because I love people and I want to see other people succeed and to see other people feel happy.
Yeah.
I kind of jumped ship a bit because my brain it's not brain, but I want to go and have just a short conversation about what was it like for you, because you said it has been really hard. So we know that it's been hard to shift and be the stay-at-home dad, but like, were there moments did you experience depression? And, and if so, how did you move forward from that? Like, do you have any, shared stories on that?
Technically, I probably should have sought out help. But at the time, I mean, it's so expensive, and there's not that many venues for people to go. And there's the stigma of, being a man. Well, I can do this. I can keep pushing through it. And mentally, I think I probably really should have gone and saw somebody. But I just took little baby steps in my own body and my mind and just worked through it and just started seeing things in a different light.
Yeah.
And opening up more and just thinking, well, okay, that person's had a bad day. I'm not going to take it to heart that they're being mean or disgruntled with me because, well, maybe that's something in their day that just went wrong. And for me, depression was pretty big because it hit me hard. I had to really, really stop and slow down, and it was frustrating, physically, mentally, and just emotionally, just draining. And then having a kid at home too, that was quite the handful. Yeah. That even just weighed that much more. I hope that more guys will step out of their realm and their comfort zone and be able to open up more and have a more of an empathic pathway type, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I love that because I really want that for men too. And working alongside of me, I loved doing that in peer support. So often men come into my space and I'm just naturally curious, and I'm also very safe to talk to. Like I would not judge people. It's just not, I don't want that. People, we do things because of our lived experiences. We do things in our behaviors, whether we label them bad behaviors, right? those are, I mean, it's part of our story and our history. And so if you
Yeah.
come to people with curiosity and love and empathy and give them that space, it allows people to start healing. And I really appreciate you said, like, I wish I could have or I should have reached out, but you did what you could do.
Mm-hmm.
And that step right there was being self-aware.
Yeah.
Right? And there's so much out there, whether it's Coffee Talk with Brandy or it's books about trying to understand ourselves. Like, that self-awareness piece is huge. If anyone out there who's watching this, you might think, oh my gosh, I don't want to do therapy because there's a stigma,
Yeah.
or the financial cost of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, find venues that will help, because definitely, if you can go. It's so important to have somebody who knows how to hold space and who knows how to work and walk you through trauma or the things that you're going through. However, if you don't have access to that, just start asking yourself those questions. And that's, my last episode of, what's that powerful question? What is it that I want?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I feel this way? Why am I acting this way? Why do I think, so-and-so's bad day is because I'm not a good person? Or, we have those thoughts. So really, the best therapists and the peer supports out there just know how to be with you, and they know how to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
So be mindful for anyone out there. Like, please reach out, DM me, send me an email if you, need resources. Like, I'll be there. And I will look at, wherever you're at in the United States, if you're in the United States, if you're in other countries, I will do what I can. Like, I'm very resourceful.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit more about, like, where you're at now and what's the difference between where you're at now and just your whole overall, like, feeling of happiness and joy compared to where you were 5 years ago.
Oh, it's night and day difference. I still deal with the pain. I mean, it's a daily thing, but I just have to adapt to it. I have to listen to my body and go day to day. And it's just, without your help, I think, because I reached out on social media, and that's where you contacted me and said, well, we're doing this and this might help you guys out. And it was amazing, as we used a lot of that.
Yes.
And that was a good platform between you guys, the schools, and the behavior specialists. We just made it more comfortable for us to be able to live our lives and be able to enjoy our lives.
Good.
Yeah.
So, as you say, you have more tools in your toolbox, right? And that's so important. I'm still gaining tools. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like, every day.
Yeah, it's me too. There's still places in my life, even though I've been into therapy, 15 years. My son's now 15. I started therapy when he was born. And I don't go all the time at this point because I've healed a lot. But there are times, like, COVID's popped up, right? So we have 2 years of isolation, 2 years plus, actually. And all of our lives have been just shifted. And so we're in this chaos and we're in this, how do we reboot? Yeah. So I'm back at my therapist. And, even in, like, intimate relationships, like if I start dating and I, have feelings for somebody, I sometimes am not the best at always clearly communicating because I fear abandonment. So there are still things that I'm working on. So it's like, being real with where we're at, like, we're all humans and we all have the need to be seen and heard.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks like, oh no, we still have more time. I don't know why my film and my camera is like telling me 27 minutes. We're at 18, almost 19. We can totally wrap this up, but I just thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if there's anything I can say or do, or in my realm of what I've been through to help people out, one person, 10 people, doesn't matter. It'd be great.
Yeah.
So I'd love to be able to use what I've learned to help other people.
Yeah, I think that is so great, and shared stories are so important because there's other men out there who are going through similar things, and I think that's why I love Brené Brown, because shared stories connect us.
Yeah.
And it's really important that we can lean into vulnerability strategically. You don't want to do it, in places that you don't feel safe or those things, because vulnerability needs safe connections and safe people. But when we can share our stories with others, we help people move forward.
Yeah.
So your story, especially just men in general. I remember my friend last 2 years ago when I started Coffee Talk, one of my guy friends came on and spoke a lot about, his ADHD as an adult and what
Mm-hmm.
that's like, and the OCD that he experiences. And he had a lot of his friends reach out and just be like, thank you for doing that. I had no idea.
Wow.
So it's like you have no idea who's watching. And I know that my show is not tons watched yet, but you know what? It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, we're all going to be together and we're going to do this. So
Yeah.
thank you for coming on, and have a beautiful day. We're going to cheers, and we're going to cut this off, and we will see you at the next Coffee Talk with Brandy. Oh, wait, don't forget to subscribe. I need to be better at that. Hit the subscribe button, please. Like, let's do this together. I need to grow, my world. And so for those of you out there who want to be part of it, please hit the subscribe button and, share my videos, please. Love you all. Bye.